As of lately, I've been putting a lot of time into my analog pocket and I've been going through various Gameboy Advance games, so in this video I'm going to show off a handful of GBA games that most people aren't talking about and nowadays feel a little forgotten. Starting off with Scurge Hive. This one released right near the end of the GBA's life cycle and was later ported to the Nintendo DS, yet I still think the GBA version stands out the most as the graphics are a lot stronger and the DS's bottom screen doesn't add much to the game itself. In Scurge Hive you play as Genosa, who is infected by a parasite and has to race against a clock in order to stop the infection. The gameplay takes the form of a Metroidvania while having an isometric view, and there's plenty of different depths in terms of the game's upgrade system, so if you're wanting an action-adventure title on the GBA, check out Scurge Hive. And coming in next, Gunstar Superheroes. This is one of my favorite games on the GBA and it's a semi-remaster of the original Gunstars on the Sega Genesis. In terms of graphics, it has some of the best visuals and effects I've seen on the handheld, and there's little to no slowdown when playing. The game itself is a running gun that is extremely over the top but very satisfying to play. There are a total of 5 moons to play through and overall a lot of variety in the characters and story, so if you're wanting a fun running gun that looks great on the GBA's display, I'd highly recommend Gunstar Superheroes. And next up, Extreme Ghostbusters. I recently played this one randomly on my EverDrive and was really surprised to find out it's not that bad, though it's important to note that this is not the Game Boy Color version. That one was only ever released in Europe, and although that one is also a lot of fun, this game serves as a great 2D platformer on the GBA, especially for people who are a fan of the original TV show. You get to drive the Ecto-1 and play through various top-down races that definitely mix up the gameplay, so if you're wanting something a little bit different, consider grabbing Extreme Ghostbusters. And so the next game is F-Zero GP Legend. It's fairly tough to find an F-Zero game that is bad, and I'd say F-Zero GP proves that. During its release, critics said it was a great game, but it wasn't anything new or exciting, and while that is true, the gameplay still stays faithful to what every F-Zero fan wants. It's fast, the soundtrack is good, and the game even has new added cutscenes. Also, there's a 4-player link cable support, which doesn't sound like much nowadays, but back in 2004 that was a really big deal. So if you like F-Zero or you want a super fast arcade racing title, you definitely have to check this one out. And so moving along, the next game is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red. Now yes, people are going to see a Pokemon game and immediately say it's not forgotten, but I personally think the original GBA one is. It did get a remaster on the Switch, but still not many people talk about the Mystery Dungeon series in general, which is a shame because Mystery Dungeon Red is an excellent roguelike dungeon crawler where areas are randomized and players have to battle while completing various jobs. It's definitely a weird game, but quite fun once you get into it, so if you've never tried one of the Mystery Dungeon titles, Red on the GBA is a great entry point. And the next game is Jet Grind Radio. This title, as I'm sure many know, is based off the Dreamcast game Jet Set Radio. It's an action platformer that has players grinding on rails and performing tricks while spray painting different locations. And while this might all sound very simplistic, there's a lot of depth to this game, even to the extent of you being able to create your own graffiti using a pixel editor, and to put the cherry on top, there's also multiplayer with up to 4 people, which lets you compete against each other in time attack. So if you like skateboard games and you want something a little bit different, this is a forgotten title on the handheld. And so next up we have Sonic Battle. This title was the first Sonic game to release in North America, as Sonic Fighters wouldn't drop on the GameCube until a year later, and while at the time the critics gave this game a lukewarm praise, I think many people overlooked how much fun this game can be. Battles take place in a 3D arena with up to 4 players where each character has different attacks and abilities. The core idea is that you want to defeat other players, which gain you points. As you play through the story, you'll get to customize your skill cards and abilities, which make the game fairly replayable, so if you enjoy fighting games, this is a very fun twist with the Sonic franchise. And coming in next is F14 Tomcat. When I first played this game, I went in with really low expectations, and I was surprised when I realized that it's much more than a bare bones flight combat simulator. Now the reason for this lies within its 4-player link cable support, as this game is a fantastic multiplayer title. You and up to 4 other players get to dogfight over the ocean, which is very impressive for the year this was released in 2001, and it still holds up today. So while I can't say F14 has the best single player missions, its multiplayer mode more than makes up for that, making it easy to recommend for those who are wanting to play with friends. And so moving along, the next game is Lost Vikings. Many might remember this game on the Super Nintendo, as it was originally created by Blizzard Entertainment. Now for the most part, the GBA version of Lost Vikings is basically identical to the SNES version. You'll still be controlling these same 3 Vikings and their different abilities to solve puzzles, meaning if you've already played the game elsewhere, familiar, this might not be worth picking up, but if you've never played it before, it's an excellent puzzle platformer, so if you're wanting something different, Lost Vikings on the GBA is an excellent game to play. And so the final game on this list is Turbo Turtle Adventure. If you are at all familiar with games like Super Monkey Ball or Marble Madness, Turtle Adventure plays very similar to both. You roll around through levels trying to escape while picking up keys and opening gates. Each level has certain elements such as icy surfaces and crumbling floors, and these elements get harder as you advance, adding in that extra layer of puzzle mechanics. I personally couldn't resist recommending this game as I don't ever see people talking about it and just about anybody can play it, so if you're wanting a weird but quirky action puzzle title, be sure to check this one out. And so that concludes this video's list. Hopefully it gave you some good recommendations of games you might like, and if you have any for me, please let me know down in the comments as I'm definitely looking for some new ones to try out. Also, I just want to say thank you so much for watching this far, it does really mean a lot, and if you like my content, consider subscribing, and with all that said, I will see you down the road. Bye.